Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome everybody to SharePoint Conference. Yeah, come on. We are, my name is Keenan Newton. My counterpart here is Cyril. We are product managers on the SharePoint team. We are responsible for the developer audience. And we're excited here to tell you what's new with Office and SharePoint for developers. Because if you haven't noticed it already with this Guthrie keynote that we just did, we've kind of added a brand new tool to your tool belt. And it isn't just kind of any kind of tool. It isn't something, kind of trivial like sandbox solutions. This is a complete revolution in the way that you can build solutions for SharePoint and, as you're going to find out through this session, Office as well. So first, I'd like to talk about some of the key investment areas that we have made with Office and SharePoint. First of all, well, as Scott had demonstrated with you, you saw the new cloud app model with apps. And this is going to be kind of a revolutionary thing that's going to allow you to be able to build solutions that you can easily get out to your users or potentially to your customers. One of those mechanisms for getting your apps out to customers is using both the Office and SharePoint stores. So once you build a solution, you have the ability to go ahead and make it publicly available. But if you're using it internally within your organization, you can go ahead and upload it to something called the app catalog. So you can think of that kind of like as a private store. Next, we've made some significant enhancements with the client-side object model. With all the new features that we've added with 2013, we've added that to the client-side object model as well. We have the object model works with JavaScript, Silverlight, .NET, Azure. You take your pick. We have it there. So we have basically the managed .NET and the JavaScript object models. And of course, you guys, we know that you've made lots of investments in full trust solutions that are out there. I mean, that's predominantly the way we've been doing things to this time. And that's not going away. That is very much staying around. To prove that, we've made investments with the server-side object model. So all the new features that you see in SharePoint 2013, there are APIs to support those features. Next, the big thing is one big thing that we have changed is workflow. As Scott had mentioned, workflow is now offloaded off the SharePoint server, and it's running within the Workflow Manager, formerly known as Windows Azure Workflow. What this allows you to do, this allows you to, like your apps, you can now scale your workflow as well. You no longer have to worry about trying to scale SharePoint in order to use your workflow. You just scale your workflow servers. And workflow interacts with SharePoint or any other service that is out there via open standards such as REST and HTTP. And lastly, access. Yes, we all know and love access. And I'm sure that a lot of your end users would be kind of excited to know that they can actually build apps as well. Access has been pretty much, kind of a tool that you build client-side databases. IT pros, nine times out of 10, get kind of nervous a little bit, saying, hey, there's all this information my users are building. I know nothing about it. I have no way to control it. Well, in SharePoint 2010, we introduced access services. Well, we've taken it to the next level in 2013. I'll be showing you in a demo. With Access Service, remember in 2010, it was using a SharePoint list to back it in. And in 2013, we're actually using a SQL Server database. So that allows your organization to be able to go ahead and control the data and understand what data is being used. So once the application has kind of out-expanded the capabilities of the end user to develop with Access or for them to modify, you can very easily take it over as a developer and create your solutions with Visual Studio. So we have three key things on for our agenda. First is the app model with cloud-hosted apps. We'll go in a little bit about the Office and SharePoint stores. And then I'm going to show you the different tools we have for building apps. So first, let's start with apps and the cloud store. So when we were envisioning this whole platform, these capabilities for the cloud app model, we had different things that we were thinking about. First of all, well, obviously SharePoint Office are great productivity tools. And there's, like with your mobile devices and like with your desktops and your tablets, there's a need for applications, and there's a need for productivity applications. And when people are doing productivity type of things, they're usually in, I mean, most of us, I know I am, I'm in Outlook a lot, right? I'm in Outlook a lot. Maybe I'm in SharePoint, I'm collaborating, I'm using Word, I'm using Excel. So being able to support apps within the productivity applications that we have just seemed to make sense. Next, we have over 700,000 of you. Roughly 0.5% of you are in this room right now, assuming that we're at 3,500 people. But that's a pretty significant number. And with this new app model, because we're embracing HTML5, we're embracing the client-side object model, we're enabling developers out there who are just web developers to be able to build solutions for both Office and SharePoint as well. Most of you have used HTML5. The statistics say 75% of you have done it at least once within your careers. So it makes sense to be able to support these open web standards in building solutions. Then there's also trying to actually connect data with your within your different solutions. And as the time has been going on, public institutions, both from a public side standpoint and even providers of services, have been making APIs and are continuing to make web-based APIs that you can leverage within your solutions. So being able to support that is critical. So the key principles are, first of all, we want to build something for the cloud. It doesn't make sense to say you build things one way on-premise and then you build it a different way in the cloud. We want one consistent way when you build solutions between both of those environments. We want a consistent development platform. We want you to be able to choose the tools and the technologies that you're familiar with, and we want to make sure that you're using the things that your organization would prefer. I know there's sometimes a lot of organizations that prefer to use other development tools or prefer other type of web hosting platforms outside of the Microsoft stack. We're okay with that. You can use PHP. You can use Ruby on Rails. In fact, we have sessions this week to explicitly show you how you can do that, and with this new Apps for Office and SharePoint app model. So as a result, what we came up with this, we've come up with this new class of apps, which Scott had demonstrated during the keynote, which can provide basically new user experiences. And one key thing that people ask me a lot, well, why do I want to build an app? Do I really need an app for Outlook, or do I need an app for Word, or do I need an app for SharePoint? I mean, what's the benefit? And it was actually an interesting question, and after a little bit I kind of thought about it, and I kind of realized, you know what? It's basically any time I have to open up another window like a web browser and open up like Wikipedia or some other site and have to copy and paste data into my Word document. That's a perfect opportunity for an app. So then I started thinking about the different scenarios, and I'm thinking about, wow, anytime I really copy and paste data from one thing into either SharePoint, Office, or like a Word or Excel, anytime I do a copy-paste operation, anytime I'm reading from like my line of business application, I'm typing it into an Excel, those are all opportunities for apps. Because in the end, apps are all about making great user experiences for your end users, whether you're dealing with public customers or internally within your organization. Apps are meant to streamline and make users more productive. We also want to make sure that you have familiar tool sets, so the technologies that you're already using, you can go ahead and use them. If you're a web pages person and you prefer the way you kind of built SharePoint with just using standard web pages, go right on ahead. If you use MVC, you prefer that, great. MVVM, outstanding. Whatever you choose, you can go ahead and build your apps any way you want, because there is no hocus pocus, there's no magic in how we're building these apps. It's all declarative for the definitions, and the app package is no more than a zip file, and I'll be showing you what that looks like in a later session in this room. And last is the flexible life cycle. So it's great that you build these solutions, but how do you get them to your end users? Well, obviously we have the Office and SharePoint store, so you can go ahead and upload them to the Office and SharePoint store and sell them or give them away for free. If you're an ISV, maybe you prefer your existing channel, so maybe you go ahead and submit it to your organization and that you're selling it to, and they can go ahead and siloed it into the app catalog. Or you can use a hybrid approach. So if you're an ISV, you want to provide a trial, you put the trial in the marketplace, and then when they want to go ahead and purchase it, they purchase it from you directly and you sideload it that way as well. Those are all different options that you can use. But the idea is that you have complete control. And just in case you're wondering if a user can just go start swiping the card and purchasing apps, we actually have complete control for the IT pros out there to be able to control who is purchasing apps, if they can purchase apps at all, or even if they have the ability to request apps. So we support plugging in a workflow that allows you to have an approval process for approving apps for purchase. So the end user just goes to the store, instead of seeing an added button, they'll simply see a requested button, and they click on request and the workflow will kick off. So with that, I'm going to, we're going to go into demos. And we're going to start showing off some of the apps for Office, and then we're going to show off a couple of apps for SharePoint, and I'm going to hand it off to Cyrielle, and the floor is now yours.
Absolutely. Thank you, Keenan. First, let me just jump in on my demo bench, so hopefully I can see all of you now, and you can better see me as well. I apologize, I'm so small. So as explained by Keenan, the new Cloud App model enables you, developers, to build a new class of apps for Office and SharePoint. By combining web technologies and cloud services right within Office and SharePoint, apps change the way people create and consume information each and every day from Office and SharePoint. So because apps come in multiple form factors, flavors, and shapes, in the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to show you real examples of apps so you can have a better understanding of what they are and what they can do.
You already switched.
Oh, you already switched. Perfect. Thanks, Keenan.
No problem.
So let's start in Excel. This is a really simple example of a spreadsheet that I put together because I want to analyze the cost of living index per state across the US. Because I am in Excel, I can simply use really nice, cool features like conditional formatting and have a quick understanding of what are the states with the highest cost of living index across the US. But now my dream really is to be able to look at those locations inside a map to have a spatial representation of this data. That would be really cool. And that's something you can do quick and easy now, thanks to apps for Office. All I need to do is go ahead and insert in a few clicks a Bing map right inside my spreadsheet. You might have noticed that the network is going up and down today and since yesterday, so it might be slower than expected. Sorry. So this is a perfect example of what we call a content app because it lives inline inside my spreadsheet. It behaves exactly as expected as I could experience Bing Map inside my browser. This is a web application built using familiar web languages like HTML or JavaScript that can now run inside Office. You can actually go ahead and check out the code of this HTML page right from within the app. And in the next session in this room at 2 p.m., Keenan and Rolando will walk you through how we've built this app, and you'll see much more of the code. But for now, let's go back to my spreadsheet here. What I want to do next is be able to look at this information here inside my map. All I need to do is select the state and the cost of living index per state and plot those locations inside my map. So thanks to this Bing Map app and some customization we've done on it, we will be able to look at the cost of living index with new icons and visualization features right inside Bing Map. Right. Did I click? Okay. Crack a joke, Keenan. Crack a joke. That's the moment. Please.
Okay. We're having a little bit of an internet connection. Oh, there it is. There we go.
Perfect. Thanks for
a little slow.
All right. Sorry.
We have, as you guys know, there's a little internet connectivity issues this morning, so we're affected by it as well.
All right. So here you can see now the map of the United States and cost of living index with different size of icon here. What's happening right now, what happened is that the app is leveraging the new Office JavaScript API that is enabled across multiple Office, available across multiple Office applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Project, and Outlook. And so thanks to this API, you can build apps that lives inside Office documents, behave as any web applications, and can still interact with the content of your files. In this particular example, we've created a binding between the app and the selection in my table. So we can read the data from the spreadsheet, use it inside the app, and update the app anytime we will update the content of the table here.
So Cyrielle, does that mean that when I selected the states in the column index, it actually did a search to Bing using the Bing APIs and brought it back and just represented it on the page. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
really cool. That's really cool. And you know what? We also know that we've got lots of customers that have really specific needs in terms of data visualization. And maybe you want to just create your own map. Maybe you just want to look at the US or Europe or France. So what you can do, because it's just a web app, you can create your own charts or map. So let me show you another example of an app we've built those past weeks, the election tracking app. And that's another example of a content app. It lives inside my spreadsheet. And in this example, we're using the API to look up for data on a third-party data source on the web and bring it back to Excel, write this data inside my spreadsheet. And then we're using the app here to have a really nice, brand new experience right inside Excel to analyze this data. As a user, I can just go ahead and scroll over some states and find out more about the results of the presidential election in the US. I can even switch view and look at the result for the Senate, for example. So just remember that because everything is web-based, you can actually have exactly the same experience right from within Excel web app. From many devices and many browsers, it's going to work the same way here.
And this is all HTML, JavaScript, right?
Yep.
I didn't have to write a bunch of like .NET code, fight VSTO, create certificates to get this to deploy. I have a bunch of people running around to install this.
Everything HTML, JavaScript. Actually, if you want to learn more about this app, just go check out our blog, blogs.msdn.com/office apps. And we published an article about it, so you can find out more about the app. You can try it by yourself, and you can learn how we've built this app. Okay, so far you've seen the first shape of apps for Office, content app. We have a second one that is called task pane app. So let me show you an example. First, I need to load a template, a portfolio management template inside Excel. So what you can see here on the left-hand side of my document is an app that comes from Bing Finance app. It was just released on the store those past days, and the document template will soon be available through the template gallery. So that's something really important to notice and to remember. Apps can be saved as part of an Office document. That means they can travel with a document. You can distribute apps through Office document templates. So technically speaking, the app will always run in the cloud. It's a web app. But what we can do is actually just save some relevant information about the app as part of the OpenXML file format and save, for example, the data state of the app. So anytime you reopen your app, your file, you have the app already present in the document and the latest state available here. So thanks to this app, I can update my spreadsheets and get back the latest financial information about my portfolio and my stock. It's not mine. It's a demo, but we can catch
it's mine.
we can catch selection changes here and look up for the latest news about this stock directly inside the app. Everything comes from Bing real time. Now, if I want to do more, I can go ahead, change the view here, go on portfolio. I can drag and drop columns if I want to customize my table here. It's going to add a column on the right-hand side. I can also go ahead and add more stocks to my portfolio. Let's say this one here. In just one click, I can add these to my table and take advantage of the pre-formatting that we've done on the template. So we already have conditional formatting. We already have formulas. I can just update here number of stocks that I've bought, and all the dynamic charts on the top of the spreadsheet here will be automatically updated. I don't need to spend more time on the Excel spreadsheet. Everything is done for me thanks to a template and the Bing Finance app.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
come on.
All right, so that's the second example of an app, a task pane app. Those apps are available across multiple Office applications, and they are leveraging the same Office JavaScript API. So actually, that means you can build an app once and reuse it across Word, PowerPoint, or Excel. And I have an example later on I'm going to show you.
So let me understand this right. I write the app once, I use it in Word, then I can move it into Excel?
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So one time.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do it twice.
Exactly.
You're
now
sure?
a table in Word is the same as a table in Excel.
You're sure?
I'm sure. I'll show you.
Okay. All right. We'll
All
see.
right. The last example of apps for Office, and then we will move, I'll show you more apps for SharePoint, it's the third form factor, and that's what we call mail apps. So let me go now in Outlook. All right, so mail apps provide users contextual information based on the content of their email right from within their inbox. So think about this. When you get an email with an address on it, what is the first thing you do?
Well, I open it.
Next. Once you write in your email and there is an address in it, what do you do?
Oh, like a street address?
Yeah, a street address.
Oh, well, I typically look at the address like, oh, well, that looks like the place I got to go. I copy and paste it into big maps, and then I find out where I'm going.
Right, I do the same, so like extra steps and etc. So what you can notice now, when I open Outlook, at the top of the email, the first thing you see here is what we call the app bar, this little gray bar here. And actually, you can notice that I've got a Bing Maps app suggested to me right from my inbox. What's happening here is because I have an address here on my email, Exchange is clever enough to activate automatically some apps and suggest me to use the Bing Map app right from my inbox. So there is no need for me to go and open the browser and look for copy-paste and do extra steps. Everything is available to me right from my inbox.
That's pretty incredible.
That's awesome.
Isn't absolutely.
So how does that work, right? I mean, that's magic. So you can notice if I go on another email here, I've got my app bar still, but I only see 3 apps, and some are different from my previous email. So everything is really contextual. Apps are deployed on the user mailbox, and depending on the content of your email, activation rules, and regular expressions, Exchange will just kick off and activate relevant apps based on your content.
So you see regular expressions. That means I can define my own rules. And how
you can also define your own rules.
Awesome.
Exchange comes with out-of-the-box some patterns and regular expressions, like the address here that will kick off Bing Map. I can also work with contact names. So the LinkedIn app here is available to me, so I can just find out more about the people in my email directly from LinkedIn without going on the browser and doing extra steps. And the Take Note app, yeah, right here, now it's working there. The Take Note app is a really nice example of an app that was built by a third-party developer, one of our partners. And so through this app, I can also take actions, and I can take notes about the sender of the email. And so anytime you will send me a new email, I can stay in context, find out, remember what happened in the past, and continue to take notes about this, for example, Alex, that is attending SPC. So we can work with we can work with addresses, we can work with contact names, we can work with phone numbers. Exchange also has the ability to automatically detect follow-up actions to create tasks or suggested meetings. So now in just one click, you can schedule a meeting in your Outlook calendar.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And that comes out of the box, right? I mean, you kind of get that for free. Once you get that with Outlook, bam, you got it.
That comes out of the box. The suggested meeting apps is out of the box in Exchange. So again, because everything is web-based, you can just go ahead and try out Outlook web app, and you will have exactly the same experience from multiple browsers, multiple devices, anywhere you are. You always have your apps with you, and you can take actions or
so it works as well on-prem in my client as it does in the cloud.
Exactly. So you ask me, like, can you create your own patterns? Yes. Think about CRM ID, opportunities ID, product ID, PO numbers, expense reports, anything that has a specific pattern within an organization. You can create your own regular expressions, build your app, and activate the app anytime there is this pattern in the email. So basically, you can build an app for, let's say, salespeople. So they can, directly from their email, they can get more information about an opportunity ID and take actions, take notes, edit it right from their email from anywhere.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I love it too. So that's the third pattern of apps for Office. Content apps, task pane apps, and mail apps. Now let's move on SharePoint. All right, so this is a SharePoint team site, 2013. I didn't do any customization on it, so you can see what is the first experience of a user once he created this team site. You can notice those 6 tiles here on the top of the site. So we'll help users to share their site, set up their deadline and timeline for their projects, use theme and customization. And you can see that the third icon here, the third tile, is all about apps. Apps for SharePoint are first-class citizen. And we will talk later on. First, I'm going to show you 3 examples of apps for SharePoint, and then I'll show you what is the experience here and what is the deployment and discoverability, acquisition management story of apps. But when I click here, I can get access to all apps available to me from my organization, from the SharePoint store, or out of the box in SharePoint. So let's look at some example first. I've installed 3 apps that you can see here on the left-hand side of my site. The first one, customer orders and products, was built using Access. And Kenan is going to show you how it's working later on. Access is evolving as a power user tool to build apps for SharePoint. This specific app helps me to track customer orders, purchase orders, suppliers, customers, and employees list. All the table, data sheets, forms, and relationships between the table were designed using Access by a power user. It's super simple and easy to do. Everything is backed up in Azure.
Wait, here's something. I have never in my life, ever, and I sat where you sat once before, I've never seen the power user or end user build something that looks this good. So Access did this for me.
Yeah, I think you're going to show us, right?
I'm going to show it to you, but I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you can do, like, you've got form, you can edit, you can add new items, everything in the browser with an app for SharePoint built using Access. So this is one of the shapes we have. We call this immersive app because you can notice the only thing that comes from SharePoint here is the top bar, so I can go back to my site from here. Otherwise, I have a full immersive experience in my browser when I work on this app. So the second example I want to show you, and I'm going to close this because I've got way too many tabs right now. The next example I want to show you is an app that is leveraging the extensibility options of the ribbon and menu inside SharePoint. And so when I go and access my document library here in the SharePoint team site, and I select, let's say, the Northwind presentation here, let's open this. Here is my menu and all options and actions I can take on my document. This guy here, Add to Publication, was installed by an app that I installed on my site, the AdLib PDF Publisher app that is in the store and was built by one of our partners. In one click, as a user, I can add this document to the queue list of documents to convert into the PDF file format. So it's working on it, and now it's added. Let's look at the menu here, the ribbon. We also have ribbon extensibility options. So thanks to this app, users can just, right from the ribbon, access, here.
It's Dreamweaver.
All right. Let's go back to my document library. It's a little bit slow. So I can go ahead and manage my publication list and access directly the AdLib PDF app. So I'll be able to customize the app, access the settings here, customize it, and just start the conversion from these documents to the PDF file format that will be available to me in my doc library once it's done. So this is the second example. With an app installed on a SharePoint site, you can customize the ribbon and customize the menu for documents and so on. OK. The third example I want to show you is the corporate news app here. So this app was built by a third-party developer, again. And actually, the code is on Codeplex if you want to go check out and play with the app. The purpose of this app is to quickly create a carousel of news inside SharePoint. So how is it working? I have a list of news here, leveraging a SharePoint list. I have a number of pictures here associated to the news, leveraging a picture library app from SharePoint. And you can go here and have a preview of the carousel based on the list of news and the list of pictures. So it's all using JavaScript.
Dreamweaver again.
Oh, the same. I heard about it. All right, we'll go back to this. We'll go back to this later on. So let's try. Let's give it a second try. All right. So if I want, I'm going to show you the carousel later on anyways. Let's say I want to announce something within my organization. So let's use this app now. If I go to my picture library here, I can just easily add a picture to my picture library using drag and drop. It's new now in SharePoint 2013, really cool. You can drag and drop any objects like pictures, documents, everything directly inside your doc library or picture library. I'm just going to go ahead and I need to copy paste this URL here, copy, and let's go back to my app. Now I'm going to add an entry about the SharePoint conference attendee party in my list of news. So let's go ahead, create a new item. So that's interesting. All right. So SharePoint conference attendee party, publication end date, end of the week. There. Summary.
It's tomorrow. It's okay,
yeah,
though.
but yeah. Never mind. That's come celebrate
Just in case you didn't know.
with us and Bon Jovi. All right, image URL, copy paste there, and I save this. So now that my app is configured, what I want is to have this carousel inside my SharePoint site, right from the home page. So if I go back to my home page and edit the page now, I can leverage the third form factor of apps in SharePoint that we call app parts. And so I can add this app as just a widget, an iframe, inside my SharePoint site and still interact with the content of my page and SharePoint site using the JavaScript of the app. So let's click it, carousel news app part. I'm going to add it. And save. I think we're going to give him a little bit of time. And while I'm going back on my SharePoint, here we go.
Here we go.
All right, so here is my carousel news. Ta-da! So you can, it's everything using JavaScript, and you can have, based on the list of news and just the pictures, we are able to really quickly build this directly on the SharePoint site.
That's absolutely amazing.
That's, yeah. So that's, for App for SharePoint, remember, we have 3 shapes and form factors: full immersive experience, menu and ribbon extensions, and app parts like the carousel news. So let's go back to our deck just for the transition, because in the next part of the demo, we're going to talk about the Office and SharePoint store, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what is the acquisition experience, discoverability experience, management experience of app. How can I configure and manage the store for an organization, and how can I set up my own store through an app catalog? I think we have a nice slide again. Here you go. So let me just go back on my demo machine. And this time, let's just put ourselves in the shoes of an IT administrator. I am now logged in as me, as the administrator of this tenant on Office 365. If you go on the SharePoint Admin Center and click Apps here, you can look at all the features and all the capabilities available to manage apps within an organization. First, you can set up an app catalog. The app catalog is literally the private store within an organization. It's just a site collection, and that is leveraging multiple lists where you can just upload apps for SharePoint by just uploading the app package here, like the Awesome Charts app. We can also upload apps for Office by just uploading a simple manifest XML file. I'll show you later on. For now, it's empty. I can also manage app requests. But before looking at that, let's go back to my management here. So from there, I can also directly access the store and purchase apps for some users, just some sites, or for everyone within my organization. The minute I buy apps from the store, maybe I want to manage licenses. If I bought an app for 20 people within the organization, I can go here and I can distribute licenses among 20 people, and I can change those 20 people when I need to. When I go and configure store settings here, I can fine-tune access to the store. I can let everyone from the organization access the store and buy apps, or I can disable the direct purchase and force users to request app purchase, and then it's up to the IT department to review the request and purchase or not the app for the organization. So now if I go back as my user from my team site here and click on this tile, it's all about extensibility. It's all about customizing my SharePoint site here. I'll be able to look at all apps available to me, apps I can add, whether they come out of the box from SharePoint, they come from the store, like those 4 apps here, those 3 first apps here, or they come from my app catalog as the awesome charts. If I want to make sure that I'm using apps that come from my organization, I can click here, and here is my app for SharePoint that was distributed through the app catalog. Now, if I'm looking at all this list and I don't find the app that I need for my specific needs and specific tasks, I can just in one click access the SharePoint store, and from there, I can browse and I can discover way more apps built by our partners, developers, by you, available here on the store. And users have direct access to the store right from their SharePoint site. So I can go ahead and I can browse and I can find more app here. There is one that looks interesting to me because I think I need some help to set up a workflow. So I can go and click on the app. I can look at different screenshots of the app. I can look at what the app is doing, details and reviews. And finally, in one click, I can request my organization to buy this app because I think it's really valuable to me and people within my organization. So I can request this app for everyone and leave a note, request this app. All right? So that's the user experience. So now let's go back again into the IT admin view. If I click here to view app requests or directly from my app catalog, now I have a notification that someone within my organization wants to use this app. So I can go here, review this request, and just in one click, access the store to review the app and decide whether or not I want to make this available to people within my organization. So let's go and check out. OK, it's looking good, same app, but notice that now I don't have the request it button, but add it. I can go ahead and buy this for everyone within my org. So actually, what's happening here in the back end is we are leveraging the OAuth support in SharePoint 2013. So the app is actually living somewhere else, but we can trust the app to run on our site collections or sites. So now it has been added. As a user, let's go back here. I can now go back and look at the list of apps available to me. And now the Nintex app is available here. So I can go ahead and I can install this on my SharePoint site. I need to trust it first. There. And it's going to be soon available to me. It needs just a few seconds, minutes to install. All right, so that's the acquisition, discoverability, management process of apps for SharePoint. You can let the store completely open, or you can fine-tune and stay in control to make sure that you know what people are using and you know how many licenses are up there. You can also monitor use of apps and take action right from here. So now let's have a look at Office. All right. So let's go back here and I have an Office document. Perfect. So you see here on the Insert tab, and that's the same across Word and PowerPoint and Excel, I have a new icon here to insert apps for Office. When I click it, I can see all the apps that I've bought on the store there, and I can just in one click insert those apps and start to work with them on my documents. I can also get access to the featured apps, and those apps are being promoted from the store because the community like them, they are the most downloaded, the best ratings, etc. So I can get access to the store right from here, from the featured apps list, or I can, oh, here you go. And for example, like the dictionary is an app that I'd like to use from Office. I think it could be valuable to me. Just in one click, I can go ahead here and access the Office store as well. And it's going to be a really similar experience where I can review the app, I can look at different screenshots and reviews, and just in one click, add this app to use it in Office. And this is like something that is, to me, revolutionary, because there is absolutely no local installation of apps for Office on the desktop. Everything comes from the cloud. This app is just now being associated to me as Garth Fort, the user. So when I go back here in my Office, all I need to do is refresh my list of apps, and it's going to appear really soon. And I will be able to use this app right from my Word document without any installation. So think about this. In Office 2013, you can sign in from multiple devices. Everywhere where Office 2013 run, you can sign in as Garth Fort and get back the list of all the apps you've already bought from the store without any local installation. It's roaming in the cloud with you on multiple devices.
Yeah, come on. I mean, think about it. How many people around here have had to go running around to everybody's desktop, to 10,000 desktops, and install something? I'm sure somebody in this room has done it. I know I have. You didn't have to do that. It's a couple of clicks, and it's done.
Last thing I want to show you, so you can really see there is absolutely no local installation, is the My Organization tab. So far, it's empty. Nothing has been distributed through my app catalog for apps for Office. So let's go back there. Where is it? Apps for Office. Yeah, it's empty. The deployment model has completely changed. Everything is happening through one single file, the manifest file. It's an XML file here, and if I go ahead and open, you can see the contents. It's really simple here. It's not the code of the app. The app is running somewhere else. Actually, the app is running here. I can copy-paste this URL in my browser and check out the app running live in IE. Okay? But if I go back to my manifest file here, you can notice other really interesting stuff, like the shape of the app. It's a task pane app. Who built the app? What is the definition of the app? Description of the app? And capabilities. With capabilities, I can activate the app across multiple Office applications, workbook for Excel, presentation for PowerPoint, project and document for Word. So this app is built just once. I'm going to go ahead and just deploy my manifest file on my app catalog. Let me just reopen my window here. Okay. I just need to drag and drop this file here in my list. And now if I go back in Word, refresh this, I'll be able to use my Wikipedia app in my document.
That's pretty cool. But you said, I saw workbook, PowerPoint, Excel.
Yes.
Well, let's see it in Excel.
I want to show you in PowerPoint, but all right.
Okay, PowerPoint. No, PowerPoint's fine. I can do PowerPoint.
Okay, I already have PowerPoint open here. But let me just go back here. So now, like it's using, it's using the same API that before. So I can just easily just catch selection here in my documents. Look for content about this lake in the Washington state. I can look at some images, and I can just directly inside my documents insert back content just in a few clicks. So what you said before, all the operations we do when we have multiple browsers and we just copy paste, insert back document. When we create information, you can do this everything from the app directly in Word. And so as you said, the same app, the same experience is going to be available across multiple Office applications. I can go here, and now I can use Wikipedia app in PowerPoint. I can go and do the same in Excel and use the Wikipedia app the same way from the Insert tab here. All right. OK. So with that, I'm done with the demo. Let me just go back to my PowerPoint. All right. And just I have a just one slide to wrap up the deployment, management, acquisition story. So as a developer, how can you reach out to end user of Office and SharePoint? First path, go check out dev.office.com. You can create your Office 365 tenant for developers. Kenan will show you what comes with it. And you can get access to the seller dashboard. From there, you can publish apps, submit apps from the store. We go through some validation, of course. And once the app is published on the store, you've seen how users can just discover apps right from the SharePoint site or from Office ribbon. The discoverability is huge. The potential is enormous. We have now 1 billion of users of Office worldwide, and we are selling 1 copy of Office every second. So think about the potential of this platform and exposing apps through the store. The second way is direct sales, or a corporate developer that wants to build something for his organization. Specific needs doesn't make sense to publish this on the store. You can just go ahead and work with the IT department, so they set up the app catalog. And as you've seen, you just need to publish the app package or manifest file for both Office and SharePoint. And the discoverability is the same, whether the app comes from the store or the app catalog. It's a consistent way to discover and use apps for the users.
Nice. All right.
Thank you.
Well,
I'm going to stay here, if you don't mind.
You kind of root me on. So now we've shown you what apps can do. And it's important for us, we think it's important for us to tell you, well, at least I'm going to tell you, all of you now are not just SharePoint developers, you're Office developers as well. Because that same type of object model that we use between Office and SharePoint are shared. So the same type of technology, the same open web standards. And now I'm going to show you how you can start building apps pretty much right away. So I'm going to kind of do a crawl, walk, run kind of thing. We're first going to go ahead and start with access. So we have kind of like 2 ends of the actual spectrum itself. First, we kind of have like the power user on one end and the pro developer on the other. And from the power user standpoint, how they build solutions, if you remember in 2010, we had the whole concept of composites, where people were using info path forms, they were using SharePoint workflows, they were using BCS, and they were kind of mashing up their own solutions. Well, with the new capabilities like with Office templates, you can actually do the same thing. So how Cyril showed you how you can add apps, you can actually add those apps into templates, share those templates with other users, and they can, when they open up those apps, they can go ahead and actually use those apps right from that document, and it allows you to kind of create interesting mashups that are easily reusable. The other tool that's meant for power users is Access 2013. As I mentioned, it allows you to build Access apps like kind of like the one that Cyril showed, and where you can just where it has a backend of SQL Server. So this is all really great stuff that kind of enables the end user to start building solutions from right away. But now we've introduced something else. We know that everybody doesn't necessarily use Visual Studio, doesn't have the tooling to go ahead and build solutions. So wouldn't it be great if we could actually develop solutions right from the browser, where I could actually type code? I'm not talking about like WYSIWYG, like drag things around. I'm actually talking write JavaScript code into the browser and effectively hit F5. It deploys an app and actually shows me that app. And it can actually execute and run it. We have that. And that is the Napa Office 365 development tools. As Scott Guthrie mentioned, you have you can go ahead and download the preview tools that will interact with this. Actually, if you use the Napa tools, kind of a little interesting little tidbit. If you use the Napa tools, and then I'll show you how you can take that solution and bring it to Visual Studio in a little bit. When you do that, it'll automatically download those preview tools for you, so you don't have to go through that extra step of opening up the web platform installer to do that. And lastly, of course, is our first-class development environment. Visual Studio 2012. We've done an extensive amount of work to to be able to support apps for Office and SharePoint, and the Visual Studio team has done just a phenomenal job, just all up in everything from the debugger experience for dealing with HTML and JavaScript, as well as the experience with Office and SharePoint. And one of the key things that you can now do with SharePoint is you can actually debug remotely. You do not need to have SharePoint installed locally on your machine to debug anymore. It can actually be somewhere running somewhere else, and you can actually debug that remotely without having to install internally. And I know as an app developer that I find super exciting. When I heard about that, I kind of jumped up and down like a little girl, but I was pretty excited. I was really was. I mean, it was kind of like this. Woo! Yeah, it was pretty interesting because I've had to try to install SharePoint locally on a Windows 7 device and just have to go through that. You have to get these big, huge laptops, with 16, 32 gigs of memory, and it's, most organizations are kind of tight on budget, so it's kind of hard. Mm-hmm. With that, let's go to our next slide, and let's go start on creating our first apps. So, wrong one. There we go. Accidentally went to yours. It's okay.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and start with Access. With Access, we didn't take away the ability to create like a standard Access desktop database, so we still have that. We call that the blank desktop database. As you can see, we have some default ones. If you look into the store, you'll actually see some of these apps are actually already pre-built and available for your end users to use, but you can take these apps and actually customize them. So I can go here. We're just going to open this up and go to a custom app, and I'm going to call this My Music, and I just need to go to my URL here and change this with my actual URL. Oh. And click, I think I accidentally put a comma there. Let's make sure I got it all right. Yep, and click Create. And now it's actually going and it's going to talk with SharePoint, making sure that I'm allowed to actually create apps against SharePoint. And it'll take just about 20 seconds here. It's communicating back and forth with the server. It's going ahead and figuring out where the SQL Server is located, so it knows where to provision the SQL Server database. It's creating the SQL Server database for me automatically. And just takes a few more seconds.
Maybe you can jump again?
No, it'll pop up. And we're just about there, and we're here. Okay, so now I have just a kind of blank screen here. But first thing I'm going to want to do is create a new table. So with tables, one thing that users don't typically do is they don't really understand SQL relations very, very well. So we've kind of simplified that up a little bit with Access. And if I just type in artists, I do a search, it'll actually produce a list of suggestions on how I can structure that, and actually will anticipate maybe some of the things I'm trying to actually build. For instance, I called it My Music, so really I want to build a music collection, so why don't I just click on that? I click on Music Selection, and it's going to go ahead and create the tables and views automatically for me. It's going to provision that into SQL automatically for me, and in just a few more seconds, it should just pop up. And I'll see the kind of the structured layout of the actual app itself. And as you can see over on the left-hand side, I have this different structures now. So I can click on music. I can see what the form's going to look like.
Yeah, that's looking exactly like the one I had before in the SharePoint
that
site.
Is looking like it. That's how
you design everything.
And that's one of the key things is we actually took away the. Didn't take it away, but we kind of made it streamline the process of actually designing the form. So if you've used one Access app, you know how to use any Access app. Because with Access Desktop, it's kind of free form. You build it any way you want. The user experience can be completely different. But this way, there's a consistent user experience. So the users don't have to worry about building UIs. What they can do is they can worry about building the actual solution itself, knowing that they're going to get a great UI out of it. So we're going to leave it as is, and we're just going to go ahead and say launch the app itself. So it's going to go ahead and push everything into Office 365 into my demo tenant. And in just a few seconds here, we'll actually see the My Music database, and there it is. So I was able to go ahead and build something very quickly in Access as a power user and get in there. But you know what? I'm pretty sure most of you didn't come here to see me hit a bunch of clicks to create an Access app. You guys actually want to see me actually write some code.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go into the Napa Office 365 developer tools. Now this is the new experience. You notice it's a cloud-based app, so it's going to go ahead and redirect me to the URL Napa Cloud App. You can see I already have one app here, but if I click Add New Project, I have the ability to create an app for SharePoint, the Task Pane app, an Excel app, an Outlook app. Yes, I can build all these apps right from the browser. So I have here called App for SharePoint, and we'll call this my SPC Demo 10, and we'll go ahead and just create it. Give it a few more seconds, and what you're going to see here is you're going to actually see what's going to look like a lightweight Visual Studio IDE interface that shows up in the browser. You can already see at the bottom here we have a set of buttons that are already available that will allow you to run the project itself, to remove the app, go into the properties of the app itself. I can open it in Visual Studio, and I can share the project with others and publish it to the actual store itself. So here I have is just created a Hello World app with a bunch of sample code here. If I go in onto where my scripts are, I can look at my scripts. It kind of gives you kind of a simple Hello World app out of the box. Very simple, similar to what we've done with Visual Studio. If I have my own scripts I want to upload, I can simply go ahead and upload a new scripts or add new items or add new folders, kind of similar to the Solution Explorer that I can do with Visual Studio. So let's just go ahead kind of out of the box and go ahead and run this project. And what it's going to do now is it's actually going to use the Napa Cloud app. It's going to package the app up for me automatically. Once it's done uploading, it's going to go ahead and install the app into App for Office and SharePoint, and then I'll go ahead and actually launch the app itself. It looks like it might have accidentally timed out on me. Let's try it one more time.
So just one thing, I think Napa is actually an app for SharePoint, right?
It is actually an app for SharePoint itself. Here we go, we're installing. Just bear with us because we are having network connectivity issues here. So just go ahead and install. And yeah, so that's one of the key things to point out. It's once you go ahead and set up you can go ahead and get a developer tenant. You can get a trial of it, of the enterprise, and set up a developer site collection. And within that developer site collection or the developer tenant that you purchase, you can actually go ahead and start writing apps right now for basically the amount of time it takes 20 minutes to set up, and you can jump in and start writing apps. So here we have it's going ahead and it's authenticating with SharePoint right now. And then once we're just about there, it's logging me in. And there it is, and there's my simple Hello World, Hello Keenan Newton. So I can start writing apps, SharePoint hosted apps, right here, right from the browser. I don't need Visual Studio. So one of let's go ahead and modify this app just a little bit. Let's add a little bit of code in here. So I have this snippet that already pre-canned, and we'll just go ahead and insert that. And what we're simply going to do is we're going to get a list of all the lists that are available within my current host web itself. And we're going to go ahead and execute that. And we'll go ahead and take out the username, and we'll swap that out with the get lists method itself. And as you can see, I kind of have some basic amounts of IntelliSense. So as I start typing, you can actually see, if you look in the right here in the top left, that it's actually producing IntelliSense, where I can actually show the alert itself. So you can have IntelliSense for the different type of objects that are available within the object model. We'll go ahead and remove that and just go ahead and run this. Hopefully this time I'll go a little bit quicker. So we're getting, it seems to be moving a little bit faster as it's getting into uploading and installing. Now, when we run this app, what you're going to see is you're going to actually see it's going to say initialize, and it's not going to, and it's going to go ahead and produce the actual results of what I have within my web itself. So here I just added some client-side object model code. This wasn't anything special. This is stuff you're already doing with JavaScript. It was just a little bit of CSOM. If we take a look back at the code itself, what I wrote, it was really actually pretty simple. Just get lists itself, go ahead and load it, execute the query. If it was successful, I'll go to succeed and go in this, into this function here. Goes ahead and enumerates over the lists and simply writes it out to my message box form. If I got an error, I'd get a fun little alert box telling me that I did something wrong. So that's very easy. But you know what? It's great to do this in the IDE, but this is kind of a lightweight IDE in the browser. It'd be really great to be able to actually be able to do this in Visual Studio. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this into Visual Studio. I'm just click the Open in Visual Studio button. And it's going to give me an executable to download. I'm going to click Run. And open up Visual Studio. And here is my project with all my code. We can see here that I automatically have my code snippets that came from the cloud. If we go ahead and, it's going to actually ask me to connect to SharePoint real quick to make sure that I'm properly connected. Keep me signed in here. Okay, it's communicating with SharePoint, making sure that it understands all the assets I have available to me from the host and the SharePoint site itself. And now that I'm connected, you can see the code that I went ahead and wrote. The get list code is right here. The on-query code is right here. The on-query failed code is right here. All that stuff I copy pasted from that I copy pasted into Napa is all down here, ready for me to go ahead and build a full solution here with Visual Studio. And I can just go ahead and execute that, and it'll go ahead and package up the app for me, and go ahead and deploy it, and I'll be able to use it right from Visual Studio. So we have a kind of a roadmap where you can go ahead and start prototyping solutions, start creating simple solutions with Napa, and then bring it into Visual Studio in just a few clicks, and having that app available to you. Now, it'll take roughly about 10, 20 seconds. It's went ahead and retracted the app itself, so it took the old one out, and it's putting the new one in. It'll take roughly about 20, 30 seconds to go ahead and run the app itself. So we'll go ahead and just, while this is cooking behind the scenes. Oh, wait, actually, it's already ready. That's even better. So I'll go ahead and install the app. I think it's going to ask me to log in. At least it's hoping it's going to ask me to log in. Oh, no, it looks like it's went ahead and saw that I'm still connected. Sweet. And there are my results. Again, a simple way. I used an ID, brought into Visual Studio, ran the same code. It's a beautiful thing. It really, really is.
Yeah, it is.
And it's great because we have a few of the Visual Studio engineers, I won't point them out, that are actually here. So they're very, very excited about it, and I'm sure you guys are just about as excited as well. So with that, let's go ahead and jump back to the deck. So some related sessions. So in this room, we're going to be having building apps for Office and SharePoint on part 1. That's next. In part 2, which will be later on today. That's where we're going to actually start diving deep into into code and basically what apps look like, what the structures of apps look like, how they're actually built. Now that you've got a primer of what apps are, and you have an understanding of that, we can start getting into deeper parts. We also have a specific session on the Visual Studio tooling for Office and SharePoint 2013. And if you're interested in the Access components as well, we have a session on that. That'll be tomorrow at 10:30. We have a session if you care a lot about the new features with workflow. That'll be available to you tomorrow at 1:45. And really, this entire floor is nothing but developer. So any session you go to, you will find some great, interesting stuff, both from internally from our own engineering folks and also great Microsoft MVPs that are out there. We are interested in knowing who wants to go ahead and build apps and to accelerate the process of being able to create apps. So I got Kevin here in front of me, who's, pardon me, what? And you can also pick them up outside from white shirt people as they're as you're walking out. Basically, this is just information that so that way we can provide any so that we can understand what you're doing and provide any assistance that you may need for creating apps. So with that, please go ahead and do your evals. We'd like to thank you for attending today, and we're looking forward to rocking this SharePoint conference. And I'll see probably most of you back here in about half an hour or so. Thanks.
Thank you.